bit too much, but I'm fun and games. When I'm acting tough, I just wanna play. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Come and get it, 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 come and get it. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I'm a bit too much, but I'm fun and games. When I'm acting tough, I just wanna play. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Come and get it, 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 come and get it. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Want your kisses in the morning light. Wanna be next to you every night. No, I shouldn't love you, but I might. 'Cause your lips, they taste like cherry wine. You're no good for me. We're so bittersweet, but
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to London Invite. We are here at the Grasshoppers Rugby Club in West London for our second Open Division action of the afternoon. We have the Belgium Open side, your reigning European champions, taking on a pretty star-studded Barbarians side. Normally when you see a pickup team with this many stars on it, it's because Steph Rapazzo's got his fingers all over it, but no. The Barbarians have come together to provide a stiff, stern test to those other open sides in attendance this weekend. Benjamin Rees here with you in the booth, delighted to be joined for the first time this weekend by Claire Sharman. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing very well. Very excited to be here.
I will apologise again, everyone, for sounding particularly nasal. It seems that this week and this week alone is hay fever season. Not quite sure how that's happened, but the Barbarians are beginning in offence on the white. And Rogers picks up from the back of his own end zone. Ansalan. That one's high. Jones rises but doesn't get there. London Decliner picks up. Doesn't like the look of Van den Broek. Still can't getting high. Finds an option in the centre. And now Blading. Oh, I did wonder whether that was going to continue to hold its line or turn out of the sideline. But Belgium clearly starting as they mean to go on. They lead 1-0 already. And the break train is rolling nice and early for them. That was, yeah, I would say a pretty ominous start when you give a team of the quality of Belgium these sorts of freebies. Verreken there. Blading it down the sideline. I think Robin Wouters was the goal scorer, but I can't quite see from this angle.
I think we're seeing a lot of those blady types of throws in this wind today. It's not too windy, but there's certainly a bit of a crosswind going on the pitch.
Yeah, so you've been playing on kind of the both orientations of fields, because as well as the game we've got here, the three fields behind us are angled perpendicular to this one. Which did you find easier to deal with?
I think the ones behind us are easier to deal with, but also the wind has picked up a bit since this morning. So it was fairly gentle this morning, and it has noticeably gotten windier now. But as a defensive receiver, I can't say playing in the wind is my favorite under any conditions or any orientation of the field.
You know what? That's entirely fair. The jet set stand out Emil Derrick with the pull. And Belgium are a side that whoever seems to pull, they consistently do it well. And again, starting the Barbars from deep in their own end zone. Asala finds Conrad Wilson, and he's opening it up. He's looking for Arvid's Carcledge, and Carcledge rises easy money over Benjamin Swartz for the score. He will be abundantly familiar to most of this Belgian side, of course, having played for the Mooncatchers for a number of years, but suiting up for the Barbarians this weekend and making his presence felt. Nothing necessarily, I was going to say there's nothing big or clever about this. There's a lot big about it, but in terms of just isolate that deep space well, send the big man off and let him work. And he makes it look easy. It's a tough matchup for even Europe's best defenders to come up against. And Swartz would probably qualify as one of those. You can see Belgium's O-line take the field for the first time. When you're playing on a side like the Barbarians are this weekend, where like you've got so many great players, even if you've not necessarily all fit together before as a unit, how do you find ways to make it work? Do you look for like little clusters of players that have played together?
I think it depends a lot on sort of the character of who the players are. Certainly clusters of players together can be a way to make it work, but sometimes you just have a group of people who want to move the disc fast, really defensive minded. Sometimes you have a group of people who are really careful offensive players. So I think finding those personality groups more than experience is maybe the way to do it.
Makes a lot of sense. Really good to see Fowler back out there after a knee injury, cut his season short far too early last campaign. On top. Into the centre, Fowler again. Now Ben Yonkers to Bonton. Bounces it back to Demarais. Demarais sees McCreary pedalling off and takes the option to the on-fire Arthur van der Weghe, who was in frankly ludicrous form at the Elite Invite about a month or so ago. Pops that out to Demarais. Being blocked by Murphy. The Demarais bouncing it back. Just shy of the end zone. Arthur van der Weghe finds a way through towards the back corner. That little flick to Yonkers for the score, and Belgium back on top once more. In the early goings of this game, both sides looking pretty evenly matched.
Do you know too much about the makeup of the Barbarians? I see a few familiar faces, but not a lot.
So there's kind of a decent core of kind of maybe like the London Clapham players who are not on the GB Open side, not making the trip out to Australia as part of GB Open or Mixed. So you've got players like Axel Armola, Conrad Wilson, Josh Eales, who are not making their way out there for one reason or another. There's a good Irish contingent, looking at players like Fernie Rogers, Sam Murphy. They've shipped in some Latvians who are often playing for Mooncatchers, with most of their Belgian teammates, of course, playing for the Belgium Open side, so Carcledge and Abeltich, and they've also just picked up some generally good players from the continent, like the two French mixed standouts in Anselan and Sasha Płatzakolski, because apparently they just can't get enough ultimate. You know, you would think maybe you played Wimble last weekend and you made it all the way to, deep into the tournament, depending on whoever you were playing for, and maybe you'd want a weekend. No, we'll come to London. We'll play some fun Frisbee, and maybe we'll enjoy some festivities as well. Wilson with a little bit of a roly-poly before he gets it back. Now Carcledge zinging the hammer over the top towards the far side, and Jones slides to his knees to make the grab. I think it's a throw that we know he has in the locker, but when you're playing for a side who are maybe a little bit less organised, as the Barbarians are, you definitely do get licensed to take shots like that.
Yeah, got to make it fun.
And what's more fun than, going into the bag of tricks and pulling out the enormous overhead.
Hey, boys, when I call the force to the line, you have to respect it, huh? You have to listen. Go.
It can be tricky as well when you're a side like one of the national sides here. You're using this tournament as, high-level quality preparation for the World Championships in a few months out on the Gold Coast of Australia. And you're playing against a side who, yes, obviously got great players, but obviously approaching the game in a big, very different mindset to you are. So you do kind of get that clash of intensity versus general vibes.
And I think both sides can be really fun and really rewarding, sort of being the underdog of more of a ragtag team and pulling things together and making sure that you are able to challenge other teams can be so much fun, but then keeping the focus, building on something throughout a season, also very rewarding in its own way.
For Belgium, last year they were the kind of the hot property, the rising star, but having, of course, the European Championship last year, all of a sudden they're the favourites. It's a very different mentality as Desmarais just turns which air around and the simple aerated flip to de Moulinaire on the far side for the score, but Belgium again with that narrow one break advantage up 3-2. Feels like the defender's in pretty good position, but he just turns the wrong way at the wrong moment. And Dan Desmarais will not need a second opportunity. Just barely in his hand before he floats it over for de Moulinaire for the score. I mean, so much has been said and written about Dan Desmarais over the past couple of seasons, and it's a game that just continues to show so few holes. Certainly, big things expected of him this year and in future. Believe he's going over to the States this club season to play for Machine. So we'll get some of our friends on the other side of the Atlantic a bit more abundantly familiar with his game, as if they probably, some of them are not already, which they should be. Ansalan to Corcoran. Takes the offhand to reset back to Ansalan. Conrad Wilson again. Squeezing the inside window through to third year Rogers. Rogers now to Eels, putting some air underneath it, squeezing it past Zwartz's ears into car clinch again. Felt like the coverage there was pretty good.
Yeah, I quite liked the first look, actually, that didn't get thrown. Looked more open from where I'm currently sitting, although on the field it can feel different. That one right there looked more interesting to me than the one that eventually gets thrown. Although that is more highlight reel worthy. So. Yeah,
it's a little bit flashier, I think. And again, I think maybe you see, okay, there was the cut open to Rogers in space. I think that they were illustrating that as well there. But actually, maybe you could see the traffic kind of flowing through from that far side, and so you don't want to put something up and then all of a sudden get it blocked somewhere in the intermediary.
Particularly not when you've come out on offense.
Yeah, maybe as a D-line you get a little bit more license to take those shots. Van der Wegen to Yonkers to start this possession. Now de Moulinaire, it's going to float up, and that'll be picked off by Arbeltinge. Martin now to Nugent. Apparently was the only Barbarians player to turn over in their first game, which, unbelievable.
That is an amazing stat.
He turned it over a few times, but I think they just give him the license maybe to be a little bit more, have a little less discretion with his choice of shots. A few yards away now, Nugent again. certainly as a D-line, you do get more of a license to be expansive with the disc. Armitage, oh, Jack McNamara completely did his man there. And then they punch it into the front of the end zone. And the Barbars are loving life right now, but they might love it a little bit less, as that's going to go back. Our screen's gone. It's going to go back into McNamara's possession. I wonder if Jack Mack is just going to think about pulling the trigger on that one again. Checked in. Goes back to Armitage.
Ooh.
And a big expansive blade over the top. Enough pressure was applied by Yonkers that Nugent couldn't quite clasp his fingers. I must admit, I was a little surprised to see it go up there.
Yeah, me as well. Quite a narrow, narrow lane there.
Looking for the throw down the line to Van der Wegen, but Nugent peeled off and got his hand in the way.
Ooh.
And the Barbarians, at the second time of asking, well, let's just say that they didn't need a third. That's a Barbars break to get back on serve. 4-3 they lead. Apparently they were having some tactical discussions in the week about, you know, what groupings are we going to do, what zones are we going to play, and I feel like, I thought you were here to just turn up and play Frisbee. You're not supposed to, you know, have plans.
It is always fun to turn up and play good Frisbee.
Yeah, but you just you know, you just get 7 players on the line. What's the plan? Go organic. All right, done. Off you go. Nice. At least that's how I would do things. Long pull that Van der Wegen lets bounce. And the bars are going to be right down Belgium's throats here. Van der Wegen to Demarais. Going back to Otto Van der Wegen. Now the shot coming. Got a player isolated deep, he bids, and bids magnificently for the score. Picture perfect layout, exactly what Belgium needed at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I was feeling the defensive energy build, thinking about how that momentum works, and then that was a real answer to that break that we just saw.
Getting a bit of air underneath it. And then again, the presence of mind to just make the catch and flip the hand afterwards as well, just to make sure there's no ground strip. Expertly done there by Wolf Osterling. Tied at 4s, back on serve. It's our 5th round of 9 today. It's a long old schedule for us here on ULTI.TV. Wouldn't have it any other way, of course. You've had a pretty successful day so far.
Yeah, we've had 2 games and won them both so far, so that's what we like to see, of course, and one more today that we are feeling pretty excited about. We're playing Iceni, I think not next round, but the round after, so that should be a good one.
Declare with the blading pull that Rogers feels finds his long-time round on the teammate Corcoran. Corcoran leads Rogers to space on that far side. So let's say let's just walk this up, which, I mean, probably technically correct if boring. Belgium coming with a hard match defense now, trying to force them down the sideline. Corcoran with the blade and bisected Wilson and Cartledge.
Yeah, that corner has not been kind to them so far this game.
The previous games, it feels like we've had that sideline, but at the opposite end zone has been where a lot of teams have come unstuck. This time it's certainly that corner up there that has caught them out a few times. Belgium can go back on top here with the break, but not much is going on, and they're having to shoot deep. Donne, well, he left it because he knew if anyone was going to get it, it was going to be his teammate Wouters, and Wouters knew that no one was going to get it in the end. On a high stool, you've got to take the shot, even if it doesn't come off. The last thing you want is to be turned over on your own end zone line.
Yeah, I love that choice, actually. If you've got nothing else, just chuck it deep and see what happens.
Cartledge and Płaczkowski outside the end zone. And Cartledge is going to find a way to make himself accountable. 5-4, the Barbarians still just edging at this one, but it is, yeah, you can see how tight it is out there. It really could go either way. Just take advantage maybe of Declainer setting his feet a little bit too long. And as a thrower, that's often when you're most dangerous, was when you're getting the disc out of your hand, especially if you're utilising him into that throw and go motion, because that first step, you can still create such a big window to use.
I'm interested to see what happens on this defensive point, because I feel like while the score is very tight right now, the energy from my perspective seems like it's with the Barbarians. So I'm interested to see what they come out with, if they're going to sort of match what they've been building up towards on offense, and what we can see as an answer back.
Yeah, you wonder if the fact that maybe Belgium have those kind of expectations, those demands of themselves, whereas the Barbarians obviously are going to cut a little bit looser. Bonton. Low. To Demarais, who doesn't see anything downfield, so goes to Arthur van der Weger. Now Fowler to Oosterling. Van der Weger to the far side. Has it back in his grasp. More than happy to go every other if that is what is required. That one rockets away, but back up there provided. And Yonkers to Bonton. Squeezing the inside window through to Fowler. Fowler, oh, I thought he was going to see if he could jam it in the jammer hole there to Yonkers, but
I thought that was going to go as well.
A sensible holster, because it was really congested in there, more congested than even my sinuses. Fowler to Van der Weger was wide open on this near side if they could just find him. Blade to Oosterling is going to get the job done, 5 apiece. And I'm going to take the opportunity now. So while we see Arthur van der Weger doing a lot of work in the number 90, his brother Aaron is not out here after he had in Belgium's rotten injury luck at Wimble just seems to continue. He tore his ACL last weekend, and I think anyone who's been around Frisbee for enough time, you know, has either done it themselves or is close friends with someone who has done it themselves, and Yeah, gutting for him, but wish him all the best.
Yeah, it definitely is a heartbreaker of an injury, particularly in a Worlds here.
Yeah, and for Belgium they're used to it though, because of course Ref Jonkers and Artefeller have sustained their own long-term knee injuries at Wimbledon as well, and for whatever reason that tournament has not been particularly kind to these Belgian knees. There's Jonker's stat line for you, a goal and an assist from the 5 Belgian points so far. Eel short to Ansalan. And Corcoran now finds Płatzakolski. Barbars happy to do the hard yards here, not just relying on the splash plays. Trying to borrow some terminology from another sport there. The Barbars, as I heard a shout of "run the ball." Not quite how it works. But the philosophy of just kind of playing sound, fundamental, these long marching drives down the pitch. Ansalan to Eels. Threatens the around. But instead goes back to Ansalan. He's going to try and take that throw and go up line. Stops, stutters. And Ansalan runs through the defence. The Belgians weren't sure whether to stick or twist. And Ansalan is, I think he's quite enjoying himself out there.
Yeah, it looks like fun. And proving me wrong about the bad corner already. So since I said that, I think we've seen 2 or 3 scores just in that corner.
Well, that's the whole point of commentary, isn't it? To be proved wrong almost instantaneously. But you see there, Dirk tries to peel off to get that switch. Wouters isn't sure whether he's coming or going. And Ansalan just will not need a second opportunity. A real do-everything player, the French mixed standout, Gaël Ansalan, who will be a pretty major piece in France mixed's quest for potential gold medal, of course, at the World Ultimate Championships on the Gold Coast in September. Very much looking forward to watching all the coverage from the other side of the world, and no doubt ruining my sleep schedule. Van der Weger feels it slightly awkwardly on the bounce. On top. Very demonstrative flick fake. Oosterling. To Desmarais. Doesn't have the instant release. Force doing a good job of dissuading that throw from going. Back to Otto van der Weger. Now Jonkers. It's the Barbars again, just applying quite a tight clamp. But they find Desmarais. And now De Moulinaire. See those kinesio tape desperately trying to stretch out those calf muscles. There's the shot towards the end zone. Oh. How does he keep coming up with them? Unreal. Unreal. What a catch that is, Claire, for sixes.
Yeah, very fun finish there. I think the thing that I was really impressed by was that little flick, getting that off into that small space for that little upline throw. That was a fun one. That one, of course, also very fun.
Yeah, Belgium are the European champions indoors as well as outdoors, and that was kind of a big breakout tournament for Sofiane Bontemps. Not the time he was doing his work up high, this time getting down low as he secures the grab. A goal and an assist already towards the end of this first half. A very fast-paced first half, it has to be said. 6 apiece, and we're comfortably under 30 minutes here. Offense certainly very much on top in this one. Which, you know, given the quality of the players out there, I think maybe you would expect a more offensive game. When the Belgians broke on the game's first point, you wondered if maybe the Barbarians had flattered to deceive, but they've earned that break back and we are trading now. Rogers back to Wilson. Corcoran on that slashing on Pasonka. Rogers again, this time Eels going short. And Salty just past the bidding Van den Broek. Corcoran getting it off to Eels once more. As Belgium try to apply the jaws around the defense. Landon de Klein's going to get a tip on it. And Landon de Kleiner gets the block on his super team teammate there, Ferdia Rogers. Those two capturing gold in the mixed division at Windmill, but this is actually going to come back, I think, for a foul on the mark there by Betrancourt. Still crazy that he's only been playing a couple of years, Nicolas Betrancourt. Why did I say Nicolas? His name's Louis. Louis Betrancourt. Offhand, as Rogers passed the mid in Kleiner, and that time he fits it in to his compatriot Shane Corcoran to just enter the bar bars back in front 7-6. Superstars all over this matchup, and de Kleiner must have been feeling pretty happy when he got the block, and it's so frustrating. How do you reset yourself when you think you've made that big play and then it turns out it has to come back anyway?
I mean, the big question of defense, how do you ever reset yourself? But I think something that my university coach said to our whole team that has always stuck with me as a defensive-minded player is that you have to both believe that you're really good and be proven that that is not true most of the time. Most of the time, your offensive player is getting open on you. A lot of the time, you're getting scored on or your line is getting scored on. But in order to really be great at defense, you have to think that that's not going to happen every single time, every single second that you're playing.
Where were you at university?
I was at University of Oregon.
Oh, okay. Yep, they were. It's pretty good.
Yeah, coached by Lou
player.
Burris,
Yeah.
who is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, Winterfield's kind of iconic
great
coaching architecture.
Great series he has on Help Defense, which is still up on, trying to think of, on Sky Magazine. You can still find it online. So if you're interested in Help D.
Help D just like that. The Barbarians looking to break for half here.
Yeah, very convenient to what I was saying, really.
Almost like they heard you. Shooting that one in. They find Nugent, and the Barbarians are going to go into half with an 8-6 advantage. The upset alert is very much on here. And just as we mentioned, Help Defense, it comes up trumps, and the Barbarians punch in their second break of the game, and they will pull to Belgium at the start of the second half with an 8-6 lead. I must say, they've looked really good out there.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier how patient their offense seems, really. They're moving it very quickly, but they're definitely taking very sensible, open shots.
Is it Help Defense or is it just a miscommunication?
Just
either way, Sam Murphy was ready and waiting for it, and Belgium were emphatically not. And they're down the sideline into Nugent for the score. It's interesting your point about how you've got to accept that you believe you're going to get the block, and also you've got to accept that you're going to get scored on. There was a really famous comments discussion a fair few years ago about how good is Trent Dillon really at Ultimate, because I watch all these Callahan reels and he keeps getting scored, and it's like, well, yes, but if you always mock the best player, then you accept that you're going to lose a portion of the battles, right?
Yes, so true. I think there's a lot to be said for the type of person who wants to mark the best player, and when you do that, you know that they're going to be good. The best players, they're the best for a reason. They don't lay down. Even if you do get one block once, they're just going to come back. They're going to do what they're best at, and so you have to learn to be okay with that, and at the same time think that you always have the drop. You always have the ability to get that block in you.
We'll see if the Belgians have the ability to get those blocks back when the second half gets underway. Half-time here at the London Invite, and it is Belgium 6, Barbarians 8. Don't go away.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Nova School Electric, become a member.
London Invite Open Division action. And the upstart Barbarians are loud and proud with an 8-6 half-time advantage over the Belgians. Benji Rees and Claire Sharman in the booth for what's been honestly a rapid contest. 8-6 and being played at a not quite a breakneck pace, but it's got, it's very up-tempo ultimate out here. Van der Wege to jet sets Christoph Phillips. Bontom delivers with the offhand back to Van der Wege. Now Fowler, with quite the bulky compression sleeve on his right leg, but it's just great to see him out there again. Artefella shoots!
Ooh.
And the Barbarians were all over it. Jack McNamara with a bit of mean mugging afterwards as well. I think they're enjoying themselves out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have some fun, and I do love that D. And maybe even on the second attempt, a little bit of a double D there.
Yeah, it's interesting because normally, I don't hate taking an end zone shot to a player like Bontom, but trying to go all the way across the field like that, I'm not sure that was really the best option. I appreciate that's a lot easier for me to say from the booth, and in that position, would I have done it? I can't say that I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's hard because there have been some lovely expansive shots, particularly from the Belgians, so it's hard to say not to take them at this stage.
Yeah, that's kind of how you got here to an extent, is that you've got these supreme throwers, you've got these big athletes, and you do give them license to shoot a little bit. Abeltinge to Tyler East. Disciplined after the turn here from the Barbars, which is very disappointing. Down the sideline now with Martin wearing, for some reason, the number pi on the back of his jersey. I'm not sure. I was going to say I'm not sure what I think about that. I know exactly what I think about it, and I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it as well.
Just a straight-up chop there from Fisher. He is. Slap his hands in frustration. Has to forget about it now. Phillips to Demarais. Surely he's going to shoot this to Osterling. All it needs is for the throw to be true. And Dan Demarais delivers, as always, on a plate for Osterling. And Belgium do get the hold coming out of half, but they were made to work for it.
Yeah, absolutely brutal drop there. Not at all what you want to see when you're the team on the upswing, but certainly what the Belgians wanted and I think needed to see.
And, you know, maybe if the Barbarians, you say, you know, that was unfortunate, just a simple drop. And if you're Belgium, you think, well, we stopped them getting quick scoring passes and we forced them to try and continually work it. And, you know, sometimes when you do that, the more passes you make them make, the more chances they have of erring on them.
Yeah, you have mentioned the pace of the game a few times, and I said earlier the offense is moving really quickly while still being patient, and I think that's the slowest we've seen the Barbarians offense look so far. So maybe something was adjusted that is working.
Yeah, there's not necessarily a problem with playing faster or slower, but it's about kind of finding a bit of rhythm with it. If you're a team that, you know, likes to play fast and you're good at playing fast, then obviously it's when you play slow that you have problems. But if you're a team that is a bit more slow paced, you know, you don't go for quick pickups, you get everything very set and structured and organised, then often when you play quickly it does feel a bit rushed. It's about getting into a space where you're comfortable.
I think calling a team at this level a pickup team doesn't feel quite right, but when you are a team that doesn't know each other as well, you don't consistently play with each other, I think fast offense can feel easier. You don't always have the sets for a slower offense, and I think that is what we've seen so far.
Yeah, you just trust you're good enough. We back your decisions, you'll get out there and you'll make it work. Steed shoots down the sideline, and Jones to Carklinge, who is all over the field. And again, as you talked about there, you know, just you have like a kind of an idea of what you want to do, but you don't make things too telegraphed. Maybe you just, you know, players who are good enough, they'll see those spaces, they'll work off each other, and then down the line, Derek tries to flash in and get the block there, but has a look around as well in recognition. I think Derek did a good job there, because so often when you're on the backside there, you see players flash in for a bit thinking they can get it, and you get these almighty collisions, and it's a relief to not see that happen, because we've all seen too many injuries over the years from players coming in from those blindside positions to get blocks and, yeah, absolutely clearing people out.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think so far this game has looked and felt, at least from where I'm sitting, very safe.
Yeah, it has. Given, you know, these are two great sides going at it hammer and tongs, sometimes as well it takes like maybe one little flashpoint, then all of a sudden everything ratchets up in physicality and intensity, and it becomes less like a Frisbee game and more like a, well, somewhat appropriately maybe, a rugby match. But we haven't had that today, which is nice. Yonkers, oh, Sam Hill thought he could get in there, but he couldn't, and Demarais over the top. Demoulinet forced to go up too early for it by a shirted Sam Murphy. And I know they're all wearing shirts, right? But he's literally wearing like a button-up shirt, which is an interesting choice.
Dressed for the office.
Yeah, well, he was all business there. And McCreary absolutely rips it, looking for Sam Hill. Sam Hill lost it, and Bonson didn't completely clean it up, but he did enough. That's the shot that a D-line takes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the double peel off on the deep shot the other direction, just making sure that you have that sandwich in place so that the offensive player does have to go up early, because they're not going to have another chance.
Van der Wege, who was red hot at the elite invite for Gentle when they made that final. He's looking for Phillips underneath, and you hear the clap of doom. McCreary to McNamara, who squeezes down the sideline. An all-Ireland connection there. Smurf with the Barbarian break, now 10-7. Feels like Belgium are going to have to maybe do soul-searching. Doesn't feel like quite the right word, but certainly they've got to fix things quickly, as three players who had big impacts when Ranelagh won EUCF a couple of years ago, having an impact again there.
Yeah, there's definitely something happening in their offense. It sounds really obvious to say out loud. They're down a few points. There's something happening incorrectly in their offense. But it's really interesting to compare that with the first few points that we saw. It does seem like the game has slowed down a bit. Looking at what defensive adjustments have been made, maybe on both sides. It looks like the Barbarians have started sagging a little bit into the lanes on that first look, which does seem to be causing some trouble.
They've got the Belgians off script. That's the way I'll put it for now. And as a side who wants to be contending for medals at WUC, even, you know, there are going to be games where this is going to happen for Belgium, where they'll come up against a team that has a really good game plan, is forcing them to go to these second, third, fourth options. And you still have to find ways to work through that, and A, be able to have multiple plans and execute them, and B, there are times where it's like, no, how can we dictate things and make sure that actually we're the ones setting the tone for the game? As Yonkers throws away. Martin, off balance, finds Armitage. Fisher skyscraping the hammer over the top to Nugent. Nugent tried to get the break out wide and got a contact from Yonkers. Off balance, trying to come across on the force.
I love that don't do it call from the sideline. Very reasonable.
I enjoyed that. Into the centre. Oh, Dan de Marais. Anything vaguely near him, and he's going to get it. And this one, they were just...
Absolutely off to the races.
Yeah, they were taking something. I'm not sure I can quite say what it is on air, but you know it. Just an inch, and they took a mile. We'll say that and leave it there. Bonton. Back to Demarais. Swinging back to Van der Weyge. Kind of beckoning for a little motion closer. Phillips finds the seat to Van der Weyge. And now they are moving the disc almost metronomically. And Fowler with the presence of mind to toe in at the front line for the score. That was better from Belgium. First possession, not great, just a simple throwing error from Yonkers, but second time round there was a bit more verve about what they were doing. And this is the block here. Demarais with those go-go gadget arms. The spacing's a bit off from the Barbarians, and Demarais realises that, and he steps in front to get the block, and then he and Yonkers, they're off. And, oh, to be honest, I'm a little surprised that, I don't know, maybe they got bored.
That they stopped it. I love that, like, you're both open. Just while it's working, keep it working. Probably good to take a second at some stage and think, okay, is there anything else out there that could be working?
Press your luck too much, but yes, I think certainly there was a time where when you got those opportunities, the option was, oh, I'll hold it, and then you can run farther away. And you think, actually, why are we making passes more difficult than we need to? Whereas if we're both free here, we can just have that jailbreak style offense and just go pinball it back and forth until someone eventually gets near us.
And it's very difficult to stop that as a defender, even when you're right there keeping pace, because you really can't get into that small space without committing a foul.
Yeah, just able to kind of hold your body shape and position and seal them away from it. 45 minutes on the clock here. 70 minutes when the hooter comes on. The Barbarians have a 10-8 lead on Belgium. As Rogers centres to Ansala. The shifty Corcoran threw that right into Betancourt.
Yeah, that did not look open.
He just has that preternatural sense of positioning, does Betancourt. That's why he's already such a big defensive piece. Stepping up to the national side at the senior level this year after playing under 24s last year. Sky's the limit for that kid. Demarais calling for order out of the entropy. I'm just going to softly lob that hammer into the end zone for the score to Gaëtan van den Broek. That's better from Belgium. And as they often want to do, when they sense the opportunities are there, they're more than happy to cross some of their big players over to the defense to get the breaks that they need. And this is why, because come the moment, come the man. Desmarais, unfazed, unflustered, floats the hammer for the goal. They, as you would expect for a side of Belgium's quality, they're not going to go quietly into the good night.
And this is also exactly why, as a national team, you come to tournaments like this. You do, I think it's never fun to be down a few points, but if you don't have it happen to you in your preparation, you're not going to be ready if it happens to you at the tournament that you really care about. So getting this chance to go down a few, stare that in the face, regroup, I think a really good opportunity for the Belgium national team.
Yeah, you'd much rather have it happen now than get all the way to WUC and then all of a sudden you're in a pressure scenario like this, you're feeling a little bit uneven, you're not prepared for it, and then you could, maybe crack and break. You see there the Belgian D-line just going through again. It's not enough that they got the block and they got the break. Still trying to find ways to fine-tune that system.
Yeah, those little adjustments with your line can be so important. Just getting together, checking in on what worked, checking in on what you might want to change.
Corcoran fields the pull and finds Ansalan once more. Jones initiating on the near sideline. And his sideline got in the way a little bit there. Eels. Back to Ansalan. Ansalan using that first step to cut underneath Walters. And now Rogers. Derek on the force goes back. Ansalan so good at just changing the momentum and changing the direction of traffic, but a really quick switch peeled off there by the Belgian defence. Breaking wide to Rogers again. Ansalan again trying to go it free, and I thought Rogers was going to pull the trigger. And surely there's no window there to Ansalan. Well, evidently I was wrong. They can see it a lot better than I can, although they were a lot closer to it in fairness. 9-11. I mean...
I like the cheeky little window. Like, you're that close to the end zone, you're knocking on the door. If it's open, put it in.
You know what? Sure. Again, you don't need a huge amount of space, especially in the end zone where there is just less space to work with, right? Swartz just tries to hold his position, and Ansalan pretty much just
goes right through.
Yep, says we're not having this.
I do really like the switching that the Belgians are doing on those handlers. You can see them peeling off as somebody goes up line, sort of collapsing back to the mark.
Yeah, it's a defense that's a little bit more proactive rather than reactive, I think. And if we kind of go back to the point of help defense, again, it's a little thing, but once your team's aware of how you play those situations, they're all adapting and preparing and playing off it, and it becomes so much more natural. So often we think about switching being more difficult than just taking one matchup and sticking with it. But actually, if you switch properly, you switch well, you're making yourself have to do less work. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit more mentally taxing at times, but it doesn't half help your legs.
Yeah, I think if it's part of your team plan, also once you get used to it, it doesn't have to be more mentally taxing. If you know you're going with the flow of the offense, you can just go as they go.
Ponton. Airs it out towards the end zone. Osterling, that is a towering grab. I thought for a second Murphy had made him go up too early, but Osterling more than delivered.
Yeah, that was very impressive. Looks like just by the tips of his fingers.
Yeah, there is definitely steps there, and you see Murphy flash across. And it really is the tiniest fingertips. I was going to say, I don't know if he cut his fingernails or not, but if he didn't, might be a good job that he didn't.
Bit of extra claw grip.
Yeah, we only see the tiniest little window is sometimes enough.
Yeah. It's just natural, though. It's just natural.
We have mixed division action for you next, by the way. That's 4 goals now for Wolf Osterling. Hell of a stat line. We're going to be streaming the Barramundies against Deep Space, which I'm very much looking forward to. Here at this 3rd edition of the London Invite. There are some of your teammates taking in the views from the balcony here at the Grasshoppers Rugby Club.
Yeah, loving the pointing from Jo, who was in this booth earlier herself.
She was indeed. Lovely to have her back. De Kleiner with the pull. Again, continually making the bubble start from their ends. And oh, Ansalan lowballed it. Can they strike while the iron is hot? Somehow no. Wow, that is a real let-off for the Barbarians.
Yeah, really unfortunate on both ends here. But a gift back from the Belgium, certainly.
The thing is, you look at it, it's like, what would you have done different? Just executed it better. I think they did the right thing. I mean, Ansalan both on the swing pass that he turfed, execute it better. Still a good option to take. And then Belgium, the quick pickup and going the shot down the line. Again, good decision.
Yeah, and you want to punch that in as quick as you can. We've seen a lot of quick scores in that manner, so certainly nothing wrong with the decision making.
Travel call here against Jones. Oh, it might be an out call. Discussing whether Jones was able to drag that foot. There's enough players there on the sideline that you feel like one of them should have had a good shot of it. I think the discussion's about whether he has it cleanly, but in the end they seemed happy enough. Ansalan to Wilson. Down the far side, Van den Broek was steadying himself to bid, but just wasn't quite in position. And a foul away from the disc, I think. Karkovic just takes some time to flatten out the end zone tape. Verreken checks in on the mark. Corcoran flips it up for Ansalan. Corcoran looking. Ansalan tries to muscle his way through, and it creates the inside window for Płatzikolski. Oh, that one blades too early. And the Barbars turn again. Feels like this is the longest point of the match, which isn't necessarily saying a lot, but...
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen multiple turnovers from each side.
It does feel like a definite pinch point in this contest. Rising Stall able to go back to Van den Broek. Oh, it was too high for Verreken. Got a hand round, but not enough. And Wilson picks up quickly and delivers bang on point to Jones for the score.
I love that point from Wilson. I was watching earlier the way that he's moving from the backfield up into more of sort of a cutter space and then just finishing it off like that. I think that's a really nice point from him.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird not seeing him with Great Britain this weekend because he's not making the long travel to the Antipodes to play with GB.
It's fun to
Australia.
see. Yeah, fun to see him play. I actually haven't seen him play too much before, but we have him on our sideline a fair amount since he dates my teammate Alex Nevitt. So it's nice to switch roles a little bit and see him out here.
Yeah, I think it's And again, you get a little bit of a different role depending on which team you're playing with, and certainly on a team like the Barbarians, you definitely will, probably be a bit more expressive than you can be with a more disciplined outfit like Clapham.
You can certainly see that they're having fun out here. I think that's coming across very clearly. It's making it a really fun game to watch.
Yonkers has ditched the hat. Means he's getting serious. Demarais to Phillips. Osterling does find Yonkers, choosing to use the middleman before going to Bonton. Bathing back to Demarais. And now Phillips trying to utilise some throw and go.
We've lost a lot of yards in the last few passes.
Yeah, that's definitely a win for the Barbars defence. Forcing Belgium back, but not getting flustered by it. Happy to lose yards as long as they can keep things moving. Sometimes going backwards just creates that little bit of space as well.
Yeah, not necessarily a bad thing.
But it's still whether it's good or bad, it's definitely a thing. As that one towards the end zone. And Demarais, again, you can see they're not overly celebrating this because they are locked in. And for them, I think the goals don't necessarily matter unless, of course, it's going to bring them back in front. Down the line, and Fowler just with a little bit of air underneath it, and Demarais was really the only one who was ever going to have a sniff at it. 12-11, Belgium still trailing and needing to find a couple of breaks, but the Barbarians have found it a little bit tougher going of late. Is this going to be the time they can break through?
I think it's interesting that we're really only seeing scores in that end zone in that far corner. There's very little flipping of the field happening here.
Standard Demarais stat line for you with a goal and 3 assists. Maybe that's a little bit modest by his standards. Derek, front and centre of the end zone, is going to pull. This will sit and hang, and Rogers electing to pick it up from the floor. Wilson to Płacikowski. Down the sideline, Eels toes it in. Being marked by Haymans. And now Wilson opening it up all the way across the field. Sorely he sold that short. He has a Matthew Willems. Will gobble it up. Zwarts. Struggling to find players with separation downfield, so taking the swing, tossed up to Willems. And now a little bit more motion. Down the line to Fuse. Derek dishes to Zwarts. Zipped through the centre. Now down the sideline, still not quite there yet. But just a couple of yards away. Trying to squeeze it in there, and they've got it as well. Robin Wouters with the break, and the break train is beginning to roll a little bit now. Belgium bringing us back level 12-12, and you just cannot keep a good team down, and the Belgians are. They're more than a good team. Just enough out into space there.
Yeah, very nice.
And it did feel like the Belgian defence, their intensity had certainly ratcheted up at the last few D points, and was not overly surprised to see them get the turn.
Yeah, I think interesting to have said, again, we were talking earlier, you say it, and then it happens or the opposite happens. I was saying that corner, we've only seen shots going in that corner. Nobody was really flipping the field. We saw that the field got flipped and that it was an immediate, pretty easy D. So maybe there's a reason that corner's being scored in.
Yeah, the wind is nowhere near as prevalent as it has been at points, but that is the difficult shot to do. Try and cut it right against it. And look, I'm not here to tell you not to try and chuck it deep to Arvis Carclinch, right? I'm not that silly, but that's maybe not the way in which to do it, cutting all the way across the field. And Willems, to his credit, through the middle, had the line and gobbled it up.
Yeah, lovely eyes on defense.
Corcoran fields to Unsalam. How long can the break chain continue rolling? Carclinch pulling out the big shot, and what a shot as well. A rainbow into the arms of Conrad Wilson to put the Barbarians back on top.
Yeah, that was stunning. Absolutely gorgeous shot. The angle that it had on it was just so hard for the defense to get a real play on it. So easy for the receiver to read.
Yeah, a perfect trajectory here. Because with two defenders, and somehow you split them perfectly, like postage stamp delivery. Yeah, dime drop there by Carclinch. Finding Conrad Wilson for the score. A couple of assists and a goal for Wilson. And Carclinch, second assist with 4 goals as well. Shout out to Billy, by the way, who's doing the stats for this game, because he will have had easier games to stat keep, given, of course, that the Barbarians do not have a proper roster and squad numbers.
It's great that we're still putting the numbers up, though. Number 0 to number 0.
Yeah, this number 0 is having a hell of a game, to be fair. I think it's only right that we
Stat
give him the
line
credit.
out of control.
Or maybe a few too many turns. Yonkers love the high release. Bit of ingenuity. Demarais to Van der Weger. Offhand, just past the long reach of Tyler East. Yonkers to Bontemps. Pumping it across the field to Osterling. Osterling to Demarais. Belgium with a nice clean hold as well, allowing them to get back onto defence and to try and start turning the screw once more and see if they've got a late sting in the tail. With the time left on the clock, it's absolutely a game to 15 at this point. But you can almost hit that out of it, and for these two, it's just a mini game to 3 now.
That shot across the field is so lovely, just flipping the whole thing, making it really hard for the defense to catch up before the goal happens.
Yeah, it feels like there's not been, while the game's been played, you know, quite a good offensive tempo. There's not really been those big wide swings from one side all the way to the other. They've tended to kind of go through a middleman. By that time, yeah, Bontemps sees the opportunity to go from one side of the field to the other. 13-13 late in this pool play matchup, second open round of the day here at the 3rd edition of the London Invite here at Grasshoppers Rugby Club in West London.
I'm excited to see what Belgium is going to pull out on defense here.
Let's find out. Well, the sideline's getting loud, whatever it is. Just trying to make their presence felt even louder than it is already. Jones with the peroxide blonde hair. Back to Rogers. Rogers into the centre. Płacikowski dishes off. Jones feathering one in there to Corcoran. Now Wilson. Rogers shimmering his way through underneath. Ansalan muscling, tried to milk it in. Was he able to?
Looks like there's a bit of debate.
So often on these jump-ins, you're not as in as you think you are.
Quite a big jump.
Yeah, they are going to say that he's not in, but it doesn't matter, because with the first pass, he's going to find Ferdier Rogers, and there's no debate about that one. 14-13 to the bar pass. Have a look at it again on the replay. Rogers, I'm not interested. Wait, no, actually, I am. Just hoodwinking you a little bit there.
Really nonchalant cut up line in the end.
Yeah, taking the time out here. This is interesting. I think they, Barbarians do not want to let this go to a potential sudden death scenario.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I love that timeout timing. Really, when you're the ones who have just scored, I like forcing the other team, not giving them a chance to set their offense, making sure that things happen really quickly, keeping the momentum. But of course, if there's an adjustment that you want to make and you need the time to chat about it, then that's the one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's now or never. Of course, you can't take them with you.
No, that's true.
That'll be interesting, though, if you get, say, X number of timeouts to use over the course of a tournament. I wonder whether you choose to use loads in one game or whether you think, okay, we'll hold this back a little bit and see if we can use them later.
What the strategy of hoarding timeouts throughout the weekend would be.
Yeah, you get to the last game of the weekend and everyone's absolutely shattered and there's a timeout every other point. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I like this idea. I'll talk to the powers that be. Belgium is doing a little bit of throwing as well, just to try to utilise the downtime that the Barbarians have provided them.
Yeah, two ways to look at this timeout because it is a bit of icing out the offense. All the offensive line here can do is stand and get more nervous. Or you make sure that they don't have time to think about anything and that you get your defensive line on and swinging at them as quick as you can. Really two different styles of play, I guess. Schools of thought.
So the pool goes up. Jonkers to Oosterling. Back to Arthur van der Wegge. The gentleman sings of the moon, catches linchpin. Jonkers and now Demarais across to Phillips. There's three big open powerhouses, three European quarterfinalists last year, Moon Catchers, Gentle and Jet Set, all well represented on this line. That one, oh, good Lord, what was that? I'm not quite sure Phillips knew, because he couldn't get his hands ready. Well, that timeout might have been inspired from the Barbarians as McNamara rips it looking for the end zone. Is it going to come down in bounds for McCreary? No, he towed the wrong line. He had so much more time and room than they thought. Oh my goodness.
I wonder if he saw the other line out of his peripheral vision and just thought, it's out, I'm out of space, gotta do it. That is absolutely brutal.
I don't know what he's doing there. I've got no idea. Well, Belgium, you take the breaks if they come your way. And Van der Wegge looking for Demarais. Oh, he's gone for the greatest attempt. Bontom is in position, and Bontom comes up with it. I mean, what more can you say?
Absolutely thrilling scenes out here.
We might need to play the slightly longer replay of that one, I think. The production note, here's Otto van der Wegge. Absolutely cannons this one deep. Demarais being forced tight to the sideline there by his moon catches teammate Arbultage.
Wow.
Gets so much whip on the greatest into the centre. Bontom, to his credit, he wasn't waiting to see if it was going to be a turn or not. He said, you know, this might be a greatest. There's Dan Demarais, you never know. Was he perhaps expecting it to come off quite that well? Who knows? 14-14 into universe. Could it have been anything else? A game that probably should have been won on the previous point by the Barbarians, and McCreary not try to toe a phantom line.
A real tragedy there for them, but set us up for something very exciting at the other end.
Just giving the people a little bit, a little bit something extra. Rogers doesn't field the ball cleanly. First pass to Eels.
That's a great call.
Travel call. Eels just calling for calm. Don't need to be fazed by this. Rogers looking for Ansalan. Ansalan pump faking. Betrancourt flashed into the lane and then allows the swing to Rogers. To Wilson. Will they try and end it in style? Oh, the hand block. No, the foul maybe from Lander de Kleiner. Accepted as well. He knew it.
I love that flash into the lane. I think 1 or 2 possessions ago, right before that swing, really preventing that huck from going up.
They start chewing on the sidelines once more. Putting air underneath it. Demarais comes over the top of Rogers. It's always Dan Demarais. De Kleiner, past the bidding Wilson, to the end zone with the hammer, in the bucket, to Betrancourt. Belgium break to win on Universe. How have they won this game, Claire? How have they won?
I'm stunned. That was really, I mean, what a game, what a fight from both sides, and what tragedy for the Barbarians. Like, it's really such a shame to have had that opportunity, and sometimes that's sports, the highs and the heartbreaks.
Oh boy, was this sports. Demarais comes over the top, that long go-go gadget arm over Rogers. Wilson bids, and De Kleiner wants to go out with a bang, and Betrancourt with the bullet point, providing a period to a wild back and forth game of the veriest highest quality. 15-14 in 75 minutes. I think I need a light out.
Nice and efficient, really. But yeah, what absolute scenes out here. So much fun, so many exciting big plays, and also just so many emotional highs and lows.
Yeah, despite the loss, they will certainly both be in a good position to take their places in the semi-finals tomorrow. Here's the game score for you. Just the one extra break in the very, very last moment for the Belgians. I mean, it's so even between the two sides. I mean, what a game. What a game, Claire.
Yeah, that was incredible. I think we might get another look at that at that greatest from the Belgian team, as it was pretty stunning.
Yeah, go on then, why not?
Yeah, the big shot setting it up. Full pitch.
Demarais has to cover so much ground from almost one sideline to the other.
These things, they happen, okay, but which is great.
And then the air on that to just give anyone an opportunity to go and get it. So much time to make a big play as well.
He must have only just got that off before that foot came down. It was mighty, mighty close, just a frame or two in it. But everyone on the field seemed happy enough. And Belgium have escaped through the back door. They have pilfered the pockets of the Barbarians with a 15-14 victory here. Time to have a little breather. We're going to go into the mixed division once more. The Barramundi taking on London's Deep Space. Claire, you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, I had a great time. Thanks so much for having me. I mean, how could you not have a good time watching that?
Well, exactly. Thank you so much for joining us on ULTI.TV. For Claire Sharma next to me, Benji Reese. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Milan. I mean, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.